we go on?
Great. Yeah, great. Thanks, Mark. So as Mark mentioned, Agile became a big part of this. So our agenda today, we want to do about 5-10 minutes to understand some lean Agile principles and practices, get some terminology out of the way up front. Then I'll go ahead and talk about the characteristics of our system engineering workshop, what it is, and then Mark's going to run us through what the workshop looks like. This is the slides we do. We do an experience-based approach actually in the training class where, you know, the participants in the class play like system engineers, and we have the instructor acts as the coach. So we're going to show the results of some of that activity, and then we're going to conclude with some guidance on applying these workshops in an Agile program. So for the background here on Lean and Agile principles and practices, I think a lot of you know that we are a SAFe. We talk a lot about SAFe and our SAFe partner. I want to focus on a couple of SAFe principles. One is assume variability, preserve options. We don't need to make all our decisions up front. There might be better economics making those decisions continuously. And then the notion of cadence, building incrementally with fast learning cycles, because we're going to leverage both of those with our workshops. From a we don't have to build everything up front perspective, this is the cone of uncertainty effect. It's interesting. I showed this slide at a customer site earlier this week and asked the audience, this is the cone of, and somebody in the audience said, hey, it's cone of uncertainty from Barry Beam way back in the 80s. And the notion here is that our knowledge about the system that we build gains over time, right? Over here, our design sets or our options, our solutions are much more wide than as we go do things. We start building things, then our understanding narrows and we can make better choices. Unfortunately, we make all of our decisions out here when we know least about the system. Right, this is the time in waterfall type programs where we make all of our requirement decisions, all of our design decisions. Where there might be better economics making decisions when we know more about the system. Unfortunately, a lot of times we'll make a decision out here only to find out sometime later when we go build that decision that, oh, that was the wrong point solution. We should have maybe picked this point solution. Well, if we waited out here with a responsible amount of time to make that type of decision, we would have made a better choice. The second notion is this one of cadence. You know, we like to say here that in waterfall, how many opportunities do we have to get the system right? Well, we get one shot. There's one big learning cycle. And that phrase learning cycle comes from a very good book called The Lean Machine, which was Harley Davidson's transformation to a lean organization. And it was by an executive at Harley that wondered, why do some of my projects fail and why are some of my projects successful? So he started looking at data, and the first thing he looked at was phase gates. Should phase success at our phase gate milestones, we would expect those to be indicators of project success. And he found out that there wasn't a correlation, or if there was a correlation, it actually leaned the other way, that they were more of a predictor of failed projects. He did find a correlation, and that was in purchase orders. So if you saw clusters of purchase orders in programs, small sets of purchase orders, small sets of purchase orders, that led to successful programs. And he called the time between these clusters of purchase orders learning cycles. People were getting some parts in, playing with them and learning, and then getting a few more parts in and playing with them and learning. And we're going to do that same kind of thing. We want this same kind of cadence about learning and calling those learning cycles. Well, we're going to learn two things. We're going to learn about building the system as well as evolving our specifications. Right? So we don't want to, back in this waterfall approach, define all requirements up front and then wait till the very end, 2 to 3 years, to get feedback on those decisions. We want to be making specification decisions here and then building them sometime quickly afterwards. So we want to simultaneously be building what we know while we explore what we don't know, and we want to do that on a regular cadence. Most of you know that we've talked about SAFe. Hopefully people have seen the SAFe slide. For those that haven't, let me give you a quick overview. At the bottom here we have our Agile teams that have product owners that are the content authority and Scrum Masters that are removing impediments, helping with the process and whatnot. SAFe scales Agile teams to a team of teams with folks up here that are kind of orchestrating and guiding the folks down below them. So we have new roles here. We have a product owner type role, which is a product manager. Okay, so if we have product owners down here, those product owners will need to be aligned, right? We're aligned here to produce a common solution. So we have a product manager here that's setting a backlog of work that's guiding the whole team of teams. Likewise, we have a chief Scrum Master, if you will, called a release train engineer in SAFe. He's serving the same role the Scrum Master does on the teams, helping with process, removing impediments, etc. Except he's not looking out for single teams; he's looking out for the entire program. And then we're going to need architecture guidance. So we do have a systems architect, systems engineer up here, and their job is to have the vision, the architectural vision.